Elena Vance tightened the straps of her camera bag as she stepped onto the crumbling stones of the dragon's tail. The northernmost section of the wall stretched before her, jagged and weathered, disappearing into a mist that clung to the horizon like a secret. Officially, this stretch was restricted, unsafe. Yet Elena had never been one to heed warnings. For years, her documentaries had thrived on skepticism, on challenging the accepted narratives. But even she felt a prickle of unease as her guide, Chan, hovered near the edge of the wall, his eyes darting to a section of stone that seemed different. "I've walked this path 100 times," Chan muttered, his voice low. "But there's something here, something unusual." Elena raised an eyebrow. He was usually unflappable, meticulous about every step. His nervousness only sharpened her curiosity. Pulling out the portable LiDAR scanner, she began mapping the northern face of the wall, letting the beams dance across the weathered stones. The results flashed on her tablet and she froze. Tallies, repetitive, rhythmic, precise, grouped in sets of 5. At first, she thought they were battle scars, marks left by invading forces centuries ago. But as she zoomed in, she realized they were beneath the original Ming-era mortar, hidden from view, invisible to the casual observer. Her pulse quickened. These weren't marks made in anger or conquest. They were deliberate, created during construction, from the outside looking in. Every line, every notch, seemed like a silent message, a hidden rhythm coded into the wall itself. Elena stepped back, her mind racing. If this was true, it wasn't merely a wall that failed to keep the Manchus at bay. It was something else entirely, something no history book had ever hinted at. And as the wind howled through the gaps in the stones, she felt the first stirrings of a truth that could unravel everything. Elena and Chan retreated to a dimly lit private study, the scent of old paper and ink wrapping around them like a shroud. The walls were lined with books that hadn't seen sunlight in decades, their spines cracked with age. Elena spread the LiDAR scans across the desk, running her fingers over the digital tallies, as Chan pulled a fragile scroll from a hidden compartment. "This," he whispered, "is the Gray Ledger, forbidden text. Not even scholars are supposed to touch it." Elena's eyes widened. The ledger was said to be a war chronicle, yet as they compared the rhythmic marks on the wall with the symbols in the ancient Mongol Soyombo script, a new picture emerged. The tallies matched shipments, not battles. Silk, grain, silver, payments logged in precise increments, every 5 marks corresponding to a delivery. "So the barbarians weren't just enemies," Elena murmured, tracing a line of symbols. "They were contractors." Chun nodded, unease etched across his face. Every 10 meters of wall built, a gate opened somewhere else. Trade, supplies, coexistence hidden in plain sight. Elena's mind reeled. This wasn't just history rewritten. It was history inverted. She followed Chun to a sealed doorway, half forgotten behind a collapsing brick wall. With a careful push, the stone shifted, revealing a hidden chamber. Her breath caught. The room was lavish beyond imagination. Tapestries embroidered with dragons and clouds hung alongside banners of the Mongol Empire. 2 thrones stood side by side, identical in height, carved from rosewood and inlaid with jade. The enemy had been a guest, not a prisoner, not an adversary but a participant in a shared performance of power. Elena stepped forward, the weight of discovery pressing down on her chest. Every assumption about the wall, about history, about her own documentaries had been upended. She had found proof that what the world called an impenetrable defense had been, all along, a theater of collaboration. And somewhere in that quiet chamber, she knew the real story. The story no one was meant to know was waiting to be told. Elena's fingers trembled as she packed away the scans and the ledger. Every revelation felt heavier than the last, like a stone pressing on her chest. She had wanted to expose a hidden truth, to challenge accepted history. But now the truth felt alive, watching her back. Because it was. Her unease turned to alarm when she noticed the first subtle signs. A shadow lingering too long in the doorway, a faint reflection in the glass of her tablet, footsteps echoing where there should have been none. Her equipment, the cameras, LiDAR, all the proof was suddenly gone. Confiscated, they claimed, for security reasons. Chen's jaw tightened. They know. They've known for a long time. The wall isn't just history. It's a system, and some systems protect themselves. With no choice but to flee, they left the city behind, plunging into the vast Mongolian steppes. The wind whipped across the grasslands, carrying the scent of dust and horses, of secrets, buried beneath centuries of earth. Here, far from prying eyes, they met the descendants of the wall's builders, a nomadic clan who still held the grazing patents, ancient scrolls signed by emperors granting them land in exchange for maintaining the illusion. Elena ran her fingers over the yellowed scrolls. Each one confirmed what she feared. The wall's purpose had never been solely military. It was a living contract, a shadow economy stretching through time, linking rulers and neighbors in a delicate, invisible web. Then her phone buzzed, encrypted and anonymous. A single message glared at her in cold white letters. The wall is still working. Don't break it. Her stomach nodded. The wall was more than stone and mortar. It was a mechanism, a silent authority whose influence had survived empires and dynasties. And now, Elena realized with a chill, she had crossed a threshold. Once you saw the gears turning behind history's curtain, you could never turn away. Elena stared at the horizon, the endless steps stretching like a silent warning. Every revelation had drawn her deeper into a story the world wasn't ready to hear. Her documentary, once a career-defining project, had become a powder keg, and the fuse was in her own hands. When she returned to the city, a sleek black sedan waited. Inside, a high-ranking official sat with calm authority, his eyes like polished obsidian. He didn't deny her findings. He framed them differently. "You see corruption," he said, voice smooth, almost gentle. "I see the long peace, 1,000 years of slaughter prevented. By paying the Mongols to build the wall, the emperors saved millions of lives." Elena's pulse quickened. The truth was not what she thought it was. It wasn't mere bribery or collusion, it was strategy. Theater, diplomacy, and calculated compromise woven into stone and mortar. Every tallied mark, every hidden chamber, every gilded throne had been part of an immense performance to protect civilization from itself. Her mind whirled. To release the full story would shatter the myth that the wall was a symbol of unyielding defense and national purity. Histories, textbooks, pride, belief, all would crumble. Yet the cost of silence gnawed at her conscience. Was she complicit in maintaining an illusion? Or was she preserving a peace that had endured a millennium? The moral dilemma was sharpened further when Chun vanished. He left behind only a hard drive, encrypted and weighty with consequence. Its contents revealed the wall's internal purpose, darker than she had imagined. Inward-facing traps designed to keep the citizens themselves from leaving, ensuring that the population remained within the carefully maintained theater. Elena sat on the cold floor of her hotel room, the city lights flickering outside like 1,000 questions. The wall was not just a story of walls and warriors. It was a story of power, compromise, and survival, a delicate balance she now held in her hands. And as she stared at the hard drive, she understood that the final choice was hers alone. The premiere hall in Beijing buzzed with expectation. Cameras flashed, reporters whispered, and the world waited to see Elena Vance's latest documentary, a supposed debunking of the Great Wall, a story they thought they already knew. Elena, however, carried a weight the audience could not imagine. The ledger, the hidden chambers, the grazing patents, the inward-facing traps, all the secrets that had shaped centuries. As the lights dimmed, the first images appeared on the screen. Sweeping shots of the wall, the dragon's tail crumbling into mist, intercut with the meticulous tallies she had discovered. But instead of exposing corruption or scandal, Elena guided the narrative toward something else entirely. A tale of collaboration, ingenuity, and the extraordinary lengths humans went to prevent annihilation. She spoke of the Mongols as architects of survival, not enemies, showing the two thrones side by side, the lavish meeting halls, and the invisible contracts that had held empires together. The audience watched in stunned silence, the myth of an impenetrable barrier giving way to a revelation more profound than any battlefield conquest. From the corner of her eye, Elena caught the official from the step, the one who had framed the long piece, nodding subtly. She knew then that the truth had been delivered, but in a way that preserved its mystery, its purpose, its strange beauty. History had not been erased. It had been illuminated. As the final frame faded, Elena stepped out into the cool night. The city's lights twinkled, alive with stories untold. Her gaze drifted to the distant wall, shrouded in darkness. There, at the stone's edge, she saw a new crew, hands tracing fresh tallies into the ancient mortar, adding to the rhythm, the hidden score that no one else would ever see. The wall continued its quiet work, centuries of secrets etched into stone, a living illusion stretching endlessly into the horizon. And somewhere in that silent rhythm, Elena realized the story was far from over.